Hi guys, Christopher here. It is time for Paletteful Packs June 2019. Last month I got super lucky and I received 2 boxes. This month, although you can see 2 boxes here, I didn't receive any box. They forgot to send me one because the computer program sent me, or their system sent me 2 boxes last month and skipped this month, but they're awesome and they very quickly sent me a new one as soon as I contacted them. These are just old boxes I used to prop up. And because my box is late, I've got to admit I had a bit of an idea what is in the box this time because I was too curious and I saw a thumbnail of someone's pastels. I have actually gotten to really start to enjoy pastels. These pan pastels are just so much fun, and I don't have some of these sponges and I was thinking of getting some, so I'm happy with that. I did not know that we're getting these kind. Personally, from the ones I've tried, I don't enjoy them so much, but we will see. And same for these. We'll see though. I mean, they're just the neutral set of those colored ones. Ooh, gotta love that Paletteful Packs sends paper. I get so ridiculously overexcited about papers. I love that there is a black here. I've been meaning to get something black for so long and then just hoping that I'm gonna receive something black in a art subscription box. And we've got a huge pad this time that's gonna really struggle to get out. Okay, that looked like it required huge amounts of strength, but it was just stuck. Also, I'm kind of weak. Okay, let's put the box away and do a breakdown of these materials as soon as I readjust the camera. See you in a sec. Like, right now. Okay, first up, we need feel-o-vision again. I didn't realize that this has a felt surface. It's gotten a little bit dirty from the paper worms, and I wish that they had actually placed it inside of this pad. It wouldn't have been hard to like put it in the first page and then just let people know on the menu, or to maybe just put a piece of tissue paper or something on top of it. But that said, what box gives you a whole pad and then an extra surface to be able to play on? So I can't be too grumpy about the fact that they go well above and beyond every other art supply company out there, or art subscription service out there, I should say. And I'm gonna make it dirty anyway, I guess. I don't know. If you're like me, you just like to really start with a fresh slate. So there's this and the pastel pad. I don't think I've tried Strathmore's version of pastel. It does have a slight texture, but it's also smooth at the same time, which I think is gonna be fantastic for pastels. I should have opened up these things, but I'm silly, so let's just do it on camera. I have a cool tower set that I got in Japan. I'm hoping that I get new colors of these, but I suspect they might be ones I have. They are just so much fun to play with. So I've gotten a vibrant yellow, and they screw off. You've seen my earlier videos, you've seen some of these. And I've got, is it ultramarine? Yeah, ultramarine blue. So let me just check. This is the tower that I own. I'm guessing I have both of these. So I think this one is the same. Hansa yellow and Hansa yellow, yes. And so they're basic starter ones, and so if you've never played with these before, you can't be mad that you're getting the basics. And yeah, I'm sure it's ultramarine blue. Yes, it is also ultramarine blue. So I'm thinking if I ever make it to 1,000 subscribers, I can do a giveaway of all my duplicate art supplies. So as soon as I get to there, people can start to win some of these. I just messed that up a little bit. But I'm going to put these two aside and use the two that I have so that if I ever do get to 1,000 subs, someone's going to have nice, pristine pan pastels to play with. Because these just last forever, like seriously forever. So I'm just going to unbox these off camera and then we'll do some swatching, which means that it's instantaneous for you. I don't know why I keep saying this, so let's go. Okay, here we are again. I have so much to talk about, so let's just fire into it. First of all, I can't believe every month how much stuff Paletteful Packs sends you. You might not think that this looks like a lot, but these little pan pastel discs are really expensive. I think over $5 each in the US. So let's see. They are $16.50 retail. I think I've seen them at Blick for like $5 to $6 each. So that seems a little bit overpriced to me, but I'm sure that you can find them for that much. I was very lucky and got my tower set for like $20, $25 in Japan and got all of these, like, I don't know, it was like 8 or 10 and tools in 2 discs as well. But generally art supplies are cheaper in Japan for some reason. And then these general sticks, I wish that they came in some sort of container that you could rehouse them easily. I do have a little box that I'm going to put those sorts of things in. It's just grabbed it. It's an old little chocolate box, and you can see some of the other pastel things that I've received from other art supply boxes, as well as this amazing sharpener. I totally recommend this sharpener if you have any pastel pencils from Stabilo. It's their pastel pencil sharpener, and it works amazing. If you try to use a regular sharpener on pastel pencils, you're going to just ruin that sharpener and the pencil will not sharpen properly. Then, in terms of these general sticks, let's see what happens. They're very firm, they're very hard, and they lay down okay on copy paper. I just want to try that first before I move on to the pastel paper to compare. And I also want to say that you should not rub extra hard for pastels. You're gonna get messy. You're gonna get really messy. You also should either work in a ventilated space. This is actually really important safety stuff that I wish someone had told me. You should work in a ventilated space or never blow the dust, or hopefully both. And then when you're finished, go take the project and dust off or blow off. Actually, don't blow off. Dust off somewhere like outside or well ventilated so that you just can't get the dust particles into your lungs. Apparently, a whole bunch of people that work with pastels end up with respiratory issues or lung cancer because the small dust particles will get into their lungs, get into the mucus layers, and then just stay there. So don't spread those dust particles everywhere. And when you're finished working in a messy area, today I'm working on my cutting board mat and I've already messed it up. Just carefully wipe it down with a damp cloth is my advice. That said, I'm not an expert in these things, so don't take my health and safety recommendations as the answer. I'm just telling you, this stuff is actually more risky than you might think. Then the next thing is to get these sponges onto the tools. You actually want to just wriggle it very gently and carefully. I don't think I've got the rounded ones yet, so I'm probably going to ruin it and break it. I find that they do tear very easily, and you need a bit of practice to figure out how to get that sponge onto the tool. And this is possibly boring to watch, but if you have the box, you need to know how to do it. And you can just see that I'm grabbing at the top a little bit, grabbing at the bottom very gently a little bit, wiggling a little bit. And sometimes I find then you push on the end and it will slip down further. For my other shaped ones, this one doesn't seem to because it bulges out so much. And sometimes I find that you can't get them all the way down. I think this one will move all the way down, but it's going to take some time. Then you're going to find that you're going to get it really dirty really quickly. So then you'll want a little bit of paper towel that you can just rub off on. It'll still stay dirty, but as long as you get off most of that stuff, you can then reuse it again. So here's some paper towel. I just use kitchen towel. And then let's see if I go from blue to yellow, which will be really obvious if I can get it clean again. Okay, so I'm using my old discs, like I said, so that's why they look like a mess. I love how pan pastels lay down. You get such a smooth placement, and then you can see a really obvious dirty disc. So then, obviously, there's still going to be some blue there. If you use a rougher surface like the paper towel, you'll get the majority of that off. You might need to rub it for a while. Ideally, I actually use a number of tools. So I'll use one for light colors, one for midtones, and one for darker colors. You can also see I've already probably torn the sponge a little bit there because I was a bit too rough. I was trying to go quickly. You might need to actually swap colors, then find that it doesn't work very well the first time, and do that on a piece of test paper, and then pick up a small amount and then go again. Now, I find that actually you want very, very little pigment and to build it up very slowly over time. If you try to scrape in a lot, I find that you just end up with a whole bunch of dust that's then going to create a mess, and then you're just going to end up moving dust all over the place. And again, the dust is a health and safety concern, and unless you're rubbing it in with your finger or using a tortillon, is that its name? Paper stub, these things, you're going to find that you're getting a big mess on your paper surface. And even with these, if you're using a lot of pigment at a time, you're not going to be able to rub it all in. So basically I'm saying use small amounts at a time and build up slowly. That's my advice. Obviously, art has no rules. You can do it how you like. I'm just concerned that people will end up working unsafely or not know that these are a health risk. And so I just wanted to talk about those things a little bit. All right, now let's do the proper swatch test on this paper. If you're bored, you can skip ahead a little bit. And again, this paper feels so smooth. Here we have the pan pastels first. I've used these before, but if you've not seen my previous videos, so you can see that I've rubbed off actually quite a lot for this swatch. I've just kind of failed my own advice there. And then I can show you that you can get a really large amount of light color placed down. Then you can choose to go in with your finger again, like I said, or a blending stump. Where did I just put them? Okay, a blending stump here and rub it in, but you might find that your blending stump is dirty, so like I just did. So again, you need some paper towel. I think I actually used this one from oil pastels. It came in a sketch box. I am actually a little bit surprised, even though we got so much stuff, which I totally understand, it's going to be worth the price of the box. Paletteful Packs says that you have everything that you need, and I do think that, well, okay, they do have blending sponges, but I think it's going to be really useful if you also have at least a pencil, something that you can sketch with for this. Now, I know everyone would have a pencil. I'm just saying if the box is said to be everything complete, then you shouldn't need one. That said, it is being picky because I can also understand that you could use this corner and do a loose sketch with this. So I can see that it is a complete set. And I'm just, I guess, focused on the way that I tend to work and thinking of the things that I tend to do. I don't use these sponges so much, but then again, I don't have huge ones. So I guess it's just more maybe me having to get used to a different way of working. And so I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have said that at all. It's just, I can see that some people might be confused. Maybe the card talks about some tips and hints on how to use everything. I'm not sure. Man, this paper is so nice. I think it's one of the better ones that I've tried to work on, and I'm really new. I keep talking like I'm such an expert in pastels, but I've actually only done like 3 or 4 pieces ever, and only on a couple of types of paper, so I'm really a total noob for it. You can see a couple of things, or at least one that I used pastels for in my Alphabet Animal Art series. I put a card up, I did a rainbow colored sloth and a little rainbow bird, and I really love how that turned out. I find for me, I struggle to get to a nice stage for the pastels, or I should say more accurately, I go through a lot of ugly stage, like super ugly stage with pastels. So be prepared for that if you work like me at all. It's going to take some time to build things up, in my opinion anyway. So these ones, I don't think I'm going to like so much. They're very hard, very chalky. I'm just such a fan of these pan pastels personally. That said, I love that Paletteful Packs has given us several different types of pastels to work with. I would have liked, instead of a color set and a neutral set of the Generals pastels, that we got 2 different brands, or maybe the color set and then a couple of pastel pencils from Generals or another brand. But again, that stuff's being really, really picky. And I know that colors work really different from neutrals, so that is a very different experience. These Generals pastels, I think they're called Generals, I just keep on saying, Generals pastels don't work nearly as well at blending, in my opinion, as the pan pastels do. The other cool thing about pan pastels is you can just work directly from the sponge. You can just put directly onto the sponge and start going at it. I don't think that's going to work so easily with these Generals. So let me use a new sponge, try to rub on. In fact, it's probably going to destroy the sponge surface because it's so hard. Yeah, it's not going to work. So these I'm going to use for detail work or sketching, and then these would be for blending effects, or at least that's how it would work for how I choose to work. I don't know. I always feel like I'm over-explaining or trying to explain that art can be done in different ways, and most people, I'm sure, just understand that. So sorry. And of course, I'm excited as always. All right, let's just go through the rest of these quickly to see how they work out. And then I'll talk about the card a little bit. Because I've rambled on for quite some time, I think I'll make art in a separate video. I find that it takes me a while to use and set up for pastels, so I'm just going to do it in a separate video. I'm going to use a sponge for these, try to rub it in. The grey seemed to blend a little bit better. It still leaves marks behind. I'm guessing that you could still build it up, or maybe, again, everyone works differently. Maybe you really like scratchy lines and lines showing through, so, you know, that's cool if you do. And then just try to clean this off. And then if you do that, you could have your scratchy line on a separate piece of paper, pick up some, and then work that way. So I'm starting to figure out already some ideas, and that's why swatching is cool. So props to Steph from Doodle Date for being the swatch queen and encouraging swatching. I'm always into swatching whenever I remember to. I'm going to play around on this piece of paper a little bit as a time lapse, but not do a piece of art, just do abstract colors and shapes while I read out the menu for June 2019 and talk about the prompts for this month. So let's go on a swatching adventure. Firstly, I reflect on my own advice and decide to put down some newspaper to work on, and I would really recommend the same. If you have some latex gloves, I would recommend wearing those too, because you're going to have really messy hands as well. And I'm not sure if the powder is toxic for skin, but definitely remember that you don't want to breathe in that dust. And with the newspaper, you'll be able to wrap it all up and just throw it all out when you're finished, because trust me, you're going to get really, really messy. So I start by just swatching out all the materials and making a really big mess, and then I decide to turn that into a self-portrait, a really quite abstract self-portrait. And so while you watch that, I'll read out the menu for June. Starting with the Pan Pastels set of 2, remember we get Ultramarine and Hansa Yellow for a retail of $16.50. The menu says, a new way to create with pastel colour. These highly pigmented, ultra-soft, light-fast, low-dust, erasable pastels mix, layer, and apply like paint. They come packed in pans so you can easily lift, blend, and apply pastel colour. The unique packaging protects the colours, keeping them separate and clean, and interlocks securely for storage and transport. They are compatible with traditional pastel sticks, pastel surfaces, and conventional fixatives. They allow for maximum control and can be used for intense strokes to delicate marks. I agree with all that, and I totally forgot to talk about the fact that once you finish your art, you should use a fixative. If you don't have one, I'd really recommend buying one, because otherwise your work will get all messed up and destroyed over time and mess up the things that it's in contact with. In a pinch, use some hairspray. Next up, we have Soft F Tools, the 8-piece starter set for $8.50. Soft tools feature non-abrasive micro-pore sponge surfaces designed for artists to hold and release the right amount of colour for smooth results. Developed for use with pan pastel colours, these tools can also be used with most water-based art for a variety of unique marks and effects. They are reusable and come in different forms and shapes to fit a variety of artists' needs. The different shapes allow for precise marks, blending, layering, and more. This starter set contains a plastic knife, 5 knife covers, and 2 sponge bars. The next item is the General Pencil Multi-Pastel Grey Tone and Primary sets for a retail of $8.64. These extra smooth, pure pigment compressed pastel sticks are ideal for fine art drawing. They can be used to create colourful, vibrant drawings or to add subtle colour to charcoal or graphite drawings. They are oil-free, acid-free, and can be blended with soft tools, paper wrap stumps, or a chamois. I somewhat agree with this description, but I did not find that I could get enough pigment out for my liking on this Strathmore paper. I did comment several times that the pastel paper that we're given is fairly smoothish, and normally you actually want quite a bit of texture with pastel paper so that you are able to layer and build up. I found that I lost the tooth quite quickly and that it was difficult to continue to layer. I also found that some of the charcoal sticks or multi-pastel pencils were really difficult to use, more so than others. In particular, the white just didn't barely seem to do anything except to blend a black, and the light greys were also difficult to get some colour out of. The next item is the Strathmore 400 series pastel paper pad, and it comes in assorted tints. It retails for $8.35. A superb surface for a variety of dry media techniques. This 80-pound paper is designed to provide a subtle, tasteful, luxurious background for oil pastel and soft or hard, dry pastel drawings. The paper can also be used for graphite pencil, colour pencil, charcoal, mixed media, and oil pastel. I'd assume that that description is fairly true in terms of working for mixed media because it has some tooth, but it is still fairly smoothish. I do find that the paper is a little thin for my liking, and as it said, it's only 80 pounds, and I prefer something a little bit heavier. And I also feel now on reflection that I would prefer something with more tooth for pastels. But overall, it's decent for the price and size. Finally, we have the item that I did not touch yet, and stay tuned for an upcoming video to see that. It's the Velour Board 8x10. Unless you're a dedicated pastel artist, this is probably a surface you have never tried before. Pastel velour paper
has a unique velvet textured surface ideal for pastels, oil pastel crayon, chalks and charcoal. It retails for $1.99. I think it's fantastic that the menu also says for more pan pastel tips, techniques and videos, visit their resources and inspiration page, and the link is given, which I'll put on the screen. Turning over, we see the Paletteful prompt rules and the prompts for June 2019. Week 1 is Sky, Week 2, Tired, Week 3, Rock, Week 4, Wet. Some very interesting words to work with there, and I will play around with that in an upcoming video. I hope that you've enjoyed watching and this swatching and art making session. I hope that you've gotten some tips that are useful from my experiences and thoughts on using pastels so far, and I look forward to playing around with that velour paper in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. I'd super appreciate it if you could click like, and really crazily appreciate it if you could take the time to leave a comment. It's one of my favorite things about YouTube. I love connecting with you guys and hearing what your thoughts are on my art, or in this case, the art materials that I'm using, or both. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon for another video. Remember, create more and consume less. Take care.